understand that there's time in the day that people are wasting. And if you're not 100% happy, you need to allocate that time to less consumption of media and to more creation of media around what you love. Because what starts happening is fascinating, and it's big. And I want to yell about it because I see it. And at some level, it is a little bit of a land grab. I do, at the end of the day, always believe that content is king, and if you're the best, you're going to win. You don't need to be first, but it doesn't hurt. You know, it doesn't hurt, and there's an enormous amount of opportunity, and that's why I wrote this book, because I see it, I'm watching it happen. Something very ironic is happening as well. You know, some of you might know my brother AJ and I have started a consulting company called Vaynerchuk, and we're dealing with big brands, Fortune 500 brands, Cadbury and Saks Fifth Avenue, the National Hockey League, Dr. Perricone Skincare, and we're seeing something very interesting. They know that TV and radio and print is overpriced. They're looking for you guys. They're looking for somebody who's passionate about skincare to give $15,000 a month to own that site. There's real money. See, what people don't understand is the economics of this all. When the average income in the US is in the $45,000 range, and when I know brands think of $50,000 to invest in a niche that's around their subject matter, means nothing. Nothing, guys. Nothing. 50K to them is like a half a commercial on a bullshit network. I mean, this is nothing to them. And then I said, wait a minute. People are making 45 and are miserable. These guys are willing to get 50K for a 1-year sponsorship, even if you don't have traffic, if you just show moxie or interest in the subject matter. There is significant opportunities. That's it. I just think the world's about to go through a radical change. I think cable television is in really significant trouble in the next decade. I mean, here's how cable television is sold, just to put it in perspective. If we went to Burger King after this, and I walked up and said, I'll take fries, the cashier, if she was the cable company, would say, huh, that's very cute, but you're going to take everything else on the menu as well. That'll be $247. That's how we buy cable. Plenty of you are pissed that you spent $8 a month on Lifetime, or $9 on ESPN3. We do though, every day, and that's how cable's sold. That's not going to last. What's going to happen is you're going to walk into your home, you're going to go to your app on whatever phone is out at the time, you're going to search flowers, hit enter, you'll see the 15 best shows on flowers as voted on by the public, and you'll just hit enter, you'll hit one button, and then the flower hour will be on your TV, and you're going to be pumped. Just like I would be pumped if I could do that and watch Jet stuff, or the things I'm passionate about. That's where we're going. The water cooler moments are going to start disappearing because we're going to all be watching different things. And there's an enormous amount of separation and $1 trillion in money that wants to be thrown in there, and there's a lot of $50,000, $100,000 opportunities. And when I think about making $77,000 talking about the Cincinnati Reds and having access to the ball players, there's a lot of people that want that. And when I think about somebody who loves baking and starts a baking blog, and then off of that starts a brand and builds $1 million brand, because I promise you, if tomorrow, you know, I go to wine country up here and make a Pinot Noir with one of the producers and it's my brand, I have a lot of equity in the space and it will sell. And that can be replicated in so many niche markets. It does upset me that my entire thesis and life thoughts on business fits in 150 pages. But what I didn't want to do is fluff this book. This is straight to the point. It's there, step by step. And if you think you've got the chops, and if you think you've got the passion, because don't trick yourselves. Don't chase. Plenty of people read the book and they say, Gary, what do you think is going to be the next subject matter? I go, you're going backwards. You're chasing cash. If you were 7 years ago totally into mixed martial arts, UFC, all that, it wasn't big enough. Guess what? It's big enough now. So you need to stick to what you love, because when you love it, those 15 hours that you need to spend every day to build that business, and at first it's going to start as 4 because you're working your other job, but you're going to hit this place where you're going to start getting close enough and you're going to want to quit. And you will, because you're going to be doing what you love. And the only way you can sustain and build big businesses, one that are game-changing and make you happy, is you love that subject. Because I'm not selling magic potions with this book. This is not sign up for a Twitter account and the Twitter genie comes out and gives you $1 million. This is enormous hard work, because that's the only way you build a real business. But the fact of the matter is this. I look at the business world as a baseball stadium. The fact that every person in this room, in this state, in this country, has a chance to walk up and tap the plate at Yankee Stadium and at least get an at-bat, that's what's happened. You all have an at-bat. Every one of you can go home right now, build a brand around what you love, and be in play. That's a big deal. That was impossible 3 years ago. That's a big deal to me. I want people to know it, and I want to give them a reference of how to go about executing it. And that's why I wrote this book. And that's it. Thank you. So in true social media fashion, where it's about the community, I didn't want to spiel up here too long. So I want to do as much Q&A as possible. So who's got questions? Yes, sir. I'll repeat them up here.
So what do you think about the printed book and how it plays in the whole shifting media environment?
The question is, what do I think about the printed book and how it's shifting in its own life?
How it plays in the shifting
Yeah.
media environment?
Well, I wouldn't write this book if I didn't think people read it, right? Everybody's like, for such a new media guy, you're always talking about everybody's dead. Why'd you write a book? Because people read them. You know, I'm not romanced by the platform. I'm not so romanced by, Twitter or Facebook or Ustream. Crap, if people still looked at smoke signals, I'd be on top of this roof right now doing this. So it's the message that I'm passionate about. Do I believe printed books are in 10, 15 years could be in a place where they're more of a collector's item? I think it's very possible. I mean, you can't not pay attention to trends, and that's going to change the world in a lot of ways. I mean, at the end of the day, I could have sold this product direct to a e-reader if it had more penetration. If in 15 years everybody has some form of e-reader type situation, why share the revenue with a publisher when I'm direct to consumer? So long term, I think there's going to be some major shifts. I mean, we'd be naive to not think that. Yes, sir.
What do you have to say for people who are totally tech challenged? They get on the internet and they don't know what they're doing on Twitter. They don't know how to handle Facebook.
Right.
And that learning curve is so steep.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's stop.
Yeah, so the question is the tech challenge. The people in this room, they're like, yeah, that's great, but I have no freaking idea what you're talking about. I'm that person. I'm far from tech savvy. I didn't grow up with it. The first time I ever had a computer was in '94. It's not something I really grew up with. There's this crazy site that's out there. It's called Google. Right? It's amazing what you can do with this.
It's like 10,000 users.
What is an iPhone? How do I use Twitter? I mean, it's crazy. They'll give you answers. So I always tell people, don't overthink this. It's all there. YouTube's probably even better because they'll show you a how-to video in 3 minutes how to do all this stuff. So, I think it's an excuse, and I don't want to hear that I'm 50 and I never used it, or 12. It's all the same culture, right? I mean, everything's scary until you try it, and I just think that people can do it if they want it. If my mom can do all this stuff now, and I mean, she is so not in the game, and she's all over it. And if you look at the stats, I mean, when Facebook's biggest growth is 55 plus female, I mean, things are happening. Like, people can get in there. It's just people making a mental block, drawing a line in the sand for themselves, which I think is totally unacceptable. And there's no reason to do that. And the world, has many opportunities. You don't have to be 22 to know this stuff. And so I tell them that Google's out there and use it. YouTube's out there and use it. Sure, man. Yes, dear.
What's your biggest revenue stream?
What's my personal biggest revenue stream? Probably speaking this year. This year will probably be speaking more than even Wine Library.
Well, that's pretty low tech.
Oh yeah, listen, I think, but is it? I mean, how did I get my brand? It was strictly done on tech. So I think it all depends on how you want to look at it. To me,